Alcohol was always my biggest love. Cocaine was just a way so I could drink more. I could stay up for longer.
Oh, yeah.
It was like taking things to the next level. That's normal nearly to do coke as it is go out to the pub.
Yeah.
I'd drink a bottle of, like a litre of vodka before I'd even go to the pub at one phase of my life.
Wow.
And then when I went to the pub, I'd normally start doing the coke. And if I drank like 2 litres of vodka, maybe 3 litres of vodka over the night and did like quite a lot of coke, I could, if I smoked a joint of weed at the end of the night, I would go blind.
Holy crap.
And I couldn't see anything. I was living a life that I shouldn't have been living. I wanted to be a rock star, and I wasn't a rock star. And I just got so drunk, went mental. And then the moment came, we ended up back at a friend's house, and he was a drug dealer, coke dealer, with my girlfriend, and there was a big pile of coke on the table. So I just could not resist. Bang, face in the pile of coke, Scarface stuff again, and lost all control. End of relationship with alcohol and drugs for good at that moment, because I just couldn't destroy any more of my life. I was going to die if I carried on. The doctors had told me that. But mentally, I just didn't want to live in here anymore. That's what it really was, you know? And it was this accumulation of loads of things like this. The stress it takes to try and moderate. It was just like, I honestly just don't know how it's for people who are wired like us, I cannot see how it's a possibility. I just really can't, because it takes more effort to do that. Dramatically more effort than it does to stay sober completely.
Welcome to School of Rock Bottom with Oliver Mason. I'm an actor, a voiceover artist, and a recovery coach who's been sober 10 years. And I know firsthand that rock bottom can be the greatest teacher and the springboard for a beautiful life. And as you know, I interview fellow creatives and all inspiring people that have hit rock bottom, survived, and thrived. This is a podcast of hope and how to get out of the darkness into the light. And that's why I'm so excited today, because I have got the joyous Jack Cotterill in the studio.
Hello.
Thanks so much for coming to see me today.
Thank you for having me.
Travelled into London. Before we get into who Jack is, a big shout out to the sponsors of this episode, Gavin Sisters, who are the experts for funky coffee and wellness retreats. Head to the show notes now for 10% off. Right, Jack Cotterill. If you don't know who Jack is, shame on you, but you will do now. So a quick bio. So today I'm chatting with Jack Cotterill, a jazz drummer turned creative entrepreneur and performance coach who's been through the full roller coaster. He spent years living the artist's life, touring, performing, but got caught in addiction, self-sabotage, and feeling stuck. Then he hit a breaking point and decided to flip everything on its head. Jack quit alcohol and drugs, lost over 60 kilos, rebuilt his confidence, and found a new purpose. Since then, he's built multiple businesses from scratch, including Grow Sober, a coaching program helping creatives and entrepreneurs take control of their lives. And now he works with ambitious people all over the world, helping them ditch bad habits, build serious discipline, and turn their creative energy into real success. His story proves it's never too late to change and become who you're really meant to be. Wow, what an intro.
Thanks, man. You make me sound very good.
You are very good. And that's why I've got Jack here, because I know my listeners and viewers are going to get so much from our convo today.
I hope so. I'm
Huge
sure
respect for coming down.
Cheers, man.
I'm going to start how I always start every episode, and that's for you to pick a rock bottom moment of your choosing. And from there, we'll get into the hope, the joy, the light, the recovery.
Okay, well, we were speaking before, and I think the rock bottom is an accumulation of rock bottoms, but one which really stands out. I can't remember, it's a few years before I stopped drinking, but I'd racked up a huge amount of debt with credit cards and loans and all sorts of stuff. Not borrowing money off people per se, but so anyway, I thought a good idea would be to get a consolidation loan. And it was probably for 20 grand or something. Wow. It was a nice amount of money. It was a big chunk. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to get my life together, but first I'm going to add a few extra thousand onto the consolidation loan to have a bit of fun with. And basically, to cut quite a long story short, I thought, okay, I can't remember exactly how many thousand it was on top, but I rang up a mate. I said, "Hey, do you want to go to Milan for the weekend?" I remember it was in the February. I think this was the February, 2, maybe 3 years before I finally stopped. But he said, "Yeah, of course, sounds good, especially if you're buying my flights." I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm loaded now." So we went to Milan, but the whole idea was to not drink, ultimately, or to have or moderate. And we got there. We got on a late flight. Didn't drink on the flight. Was being very well behaved, and went to a restaurant and had a nice bit of Italian food, local restaurant. It's like, well, maybe I'll have one bottle of wine. And so we got one bottle of wine to share between us. Bearing in mind, my friend was also, or is, a big drinker. And we had one bottle of wine. I said, well, should we get another bottle of wine? So, yeah, really good idea. So we had another bottle of wine. And that was the start. It was the start of the holiday or the weekend of moderation. And basically that 2 bottles of wine turned into going to a really fancy bar and buying bottles of wine for €100. When I drank, I really liked to do it in style. I would always drink single malt scotch over Bell's whiskey or whatever the normal one was. And then that turned into, I need some drugs, as it always would. And being in a new city, it was always hard to find a dealer to buy drugs. And my drug of choice was cocaine. Couldn't find any cocaine, so the next best thing was getting ecstasy. So we found some ecstasy, ended up in some nightclub. Still, it was like, I need cocaine. So anyway, it was all a bit blurry in between this time and ending up into this next situation, which was finding myself in, I think, what was a strip club. I'm not really, it might have been something a little bit more than a strip club. They had back rooms and and at this point we had discovered how to buy cocaine. And the next thing I remember was being in this back room of this, what I think is a strip club, with naked women everywhere, cocaine on silver trays, bottles of tequila. It was, if anyone has seen the movie Scarface, it was Scarface ultimately. And the next thing, my friend walks in and, Jack, what you doing? Going mental. He's like, check your bank account. And ultimately, the place had obviously, you could pay for cocaine or alcohol or women or whatever on a card machine. And I'd spent something like already just in 30 minutes, like £1,500. And he said, what are you doing? I was like, what's it look like I'm doing? I'm having fun. And it just didn't even, at the time, in the moment, I was just like, well, what's the problem? And he really lost his shit with me, basically. And this is a guy who's also taking cocaine. And it was just, what are you doing? And then I remember, all this was happening. I remember thinking, I need to throw up. And I was like, well, I can't throw up over naked women. I was just like, I'm throwing up in the corner of the room. And it's just like, pfft. Anyway, he dragged me out in the end. And that was that. And that was the first night of our weekend away with my consolidation loan money. Wow. And spent quite a few thousand in the space of, 24 hours. With money that I shouldn't even been spending anyway. Wow. And that was definitely a moment. I think that carried on that binge for about, what was the whole trip? 48, 72 hours or something.
Wow.
And getting back to the UK after that was a rock bottom moment.
Absolutely. Wow. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
I mean, what's interesting, I've been doing a bit of professional stalking online, and you've got some amazing content on your Instagram and everywhere else that you post. And you made a really good reel a couple of months ago about rock bottom. You were basically saying that it isn't one moment, it's an accumulation of moments. And the reason I bring that up, because I completely agree with that. The reason I bring that up is you shared at the beginning of telling us that, I think you didn't stop for like 2-3 years after that. So some people think of a rock bottom moment is, it's the moment where you stop, but actually it was just another data point building up to you being unable to ignore the pain anymore. What was it about that story? What was it in that story that it sort of really taught you something?
I was living a life that I shouldn't have been living, ultimately, because I wanted to be a rock star, and I wasn't a rock star. Well, I guess I was in some capacity. I was leading the life of a rock star, but I didn't have the finances to live that life. And I don't think anyone ultimately does, it's the more money you earn, the more it gets out of control. And, but yeah, I really learned that I guess I was trying to be something I wasn't.
Right.
And trying to be something you're not, if you're not yourself, you're not happy because you're ultimately trying to run away from yourself. So I guess that situation and plenty of other situations like that, there's quite a few stories similar to that one.
Yeah.
It's you've always need to be yourself, and if you don't feel like you can be yourself, you've got a problem. At the time, I guess I wasn't so aware of that, but now looking back, it's very obvious to me that person I had built my identity around being this rock star. It wasn't me. It's not who I wanted to be.
Yeah, I could really relate to the bit where you're talking about having the has to be the best scotch in the glass and all of that. That kind of, it's really interesting that. And also, we have this phrase in recovery, don't we? The F it button, right? Sounds like your button is really like a big one, because the money that you were just funneling, like, you turn around to your mate and said, "What's the problem?" Was that another sort of big realization that really all bets are off once you're on it?
Oh yeah, and it still is like that in life now. Like, I think I'm an all or nothing type, which is so cliche in this space. It's like we're all sat here because we're all or nothing characters. But I think, and we'll get into more of this later, but how some of us are wired differently to others.
Yeah.
And if I like doing something, I'm going to do it all the time.
Right.
And I still am like that.
Yeah.
It's about being able to have some level of control over that. But yeah, that button is always, like back in those days, it was, I would do anything. I wasn't scared of the consequences.
Got it. I was exactly the same. Quite interesting what you alluded to there, though, that if you can take that energy, that kind of like hyper focus that we have an active addiction, and then sort of flip it into something else, it's really a huge force for good, isn't it? I noticed with my own recovery when I was relapsing a lot, I was like, hang on a minute, my catchphrase in the pub was "go hard or go home," and I'm just sort of like dipping my toe into recovery. I'm not really all in, and when I actually went all in, it started to work. You've got a lovely phrase that you use a lot online, which I think is brilliant, which basically is stopping drinking isn't about stopping drinking. What does that mean?
I think people hyper-focus, again, on this hyper-focus side of stuff, on what they've removed. And again, it's like, what do we want from stopping drinking? Because it's not just to stop drinking. That's not actually what we're trying to do. We're trying to transform our lives, right? We don't stop drinking because we just don't want to drink the alcohol anymore. It's because we want to repair our relationships or be there for ourselves, to show up fully for ourselves, which means then we can fully show up for other people. It's to better our health. It's to achieve greater things, whether that's in professionally or personally, to run a marathon. And I think where a lot of people, I hate to use the word fail, because failure is only failure if you don't learn from it. But whereas people will do like 30 days or 100 days. I think dry January is a very good example. I'm not knocking dry January, but if people think they're going to change their lives after 30 days, after being stuck in this cycle, it ain't going to work. And from someone who's tried that over and over and over again to do like a month off, all I was doing was waiting until I could drink again. So that's then focusing on what you've removed. So stopping drinking isn't about stopping drinking. It's about aiming for something greater and something you don't want to escape from, and building a life which doesn't involve alcohol. It's a life where you don't want to drink alcohol.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And the focus isn't alcohol anymore. And again, if you set a goal of like, okay, in 3 years' time, I want to run a marathon. And you could be someone like me who was drastically obese and smoked 40 cigarettes a day, blah, 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 drank loads. 3 years, it's like, okay, what do I need to get to the moment of running the marathon and completing it over those 3 years? Okay, well, alcohol doesn't play into that, nor does cigarettes, nor does being 23 stone, nor does eating a whole cheesecake every night.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you set a more of a lifestyle goal, and that's the focus, and you just think, okay, well, alcohol doesn't play into that, you've removed the focus. Absolutely. And it's not about stopping drinking.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I had a sponsor earlier on, and he said to me something along the lines of, "We're now going to build a life together that you don't want to tear down." Because I was always that kid that I'd sort of build something really nice. I'd sort of build something out of Lego, and I'd show my parents, and then as soon as I left the room, I got more sort of pleasure out of destroying it afterwards. They go, "What have you done?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Ah."
I love that.
And someone said something to me similar, like, we're going to build a life that you don't want to tear down. And he also said to me, if in a year's time you still don't want to ask that girl out on a date, or you're still too scared to go on that job interview, find someone else to help you, because that's not what recovery's about.
Yeah.
And I love what you're saying there. What do you think then of these apps and counters that count days and minutes? Well, I mean, I just wondered where that fits in your...
It started to change my perspective on all this, actually. I was recently approached by a startup new app company.
Right.
It's a really cool concept. I really believe in it. But then I was thinking, do I now, because of what I've just said, think it's a good tool, I guess is the right word. But yeah, I use it, but I don't look at them anymore. To start with, I did count days.
Yeah, same.
And I got addicted to counting days.
Right, yeah.
And I think that can be quite a good thing in the early days.
Sure.
But after a certain amount, I don't know about you, but I know exactly when I stopped drinking. I will never forget that day. And I know roughly, I can't tell you the days anymore. I can tell you the months, but you start counting months or weeks rather than days, and then it goes to maybe years for some people. But I think you've got to do ultimately what helps the person, helps you.
Right.
There's not one size fits all. That's why there's all different forms of help for recovery. The method I now use, and what's really, because I think a lot of people think, okay, you stop drinking, maybe you've done a year, great, you're winning.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I've discovered stuff this year. Yeah. I'm into my 7th year of sobriety.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Cheers, man.
That is
Thank
absolutely
you.
amazing. So you're 7 years, or you're about to be, did you say?
So I'm 7 years in September.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
But yeah, like this year, I've discovered huge things about my recovery. Yeah. And to be honest, again, alcohol just isn't the focus. It's just about becoming a better human being, and that's what recovery is. Yeah. It's about getting your shit together. It's not about alcohol. It really isn't. It's all about the inner work,
100%. Talking about just stopping drinking, I think for you as well, it wasn't just drinking, right? But no. So alcohol, am I right in saying we had a little coffee before going on air now? You can tell I'm an acting background on air. Yes, right. Very showbiz. That alcohol was always the starting point, but then it would normally lead to cocaine?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cocaine. Alcohol was always my biggest love, I guess, from a very young age. But yeah, I discovered cocaine. So I stopped drinking when I was 25. I discovered cocaine in my early 20s, so 20, 21 or something. And it was a case of the fire was big already. And yeah, cocaine came into my life. It's like, wow, we can make this fire even bigger. So I can throw loads on. And cocaine was just a way so I could drink more. I could stay up for longer. It was like taking things to the next level, ultimately.
Were you sort of seeking that buzz that cocaine gives you when you mix the two? Or was it more functional in the sense that you just wanted to be able to drink more?
If I drank all night and took cocaine after so I did drink quite a lot. And so if I had a bottle of vodka, I'd drink a bottle of a liter of vodka before I'd even go to the pub at one phase of my life. Wow. And then when I went to the pub, I'd normally start doing the coke. And if I drank 2 liters of vodka, maybe 3 liters of vodka over the night and did quite a lot of coke, I could, if I smoked a joint of weed at the end of the night, I could get into this state of like total euphoria,
Right.
and I would go blind.
Holy crap.
And I couldn't see anything. And I'd literally have to crawl around. And I could like make this happen. I found like this perfect balance between alcohol, cocaine, and then whatever weed put into the mix. Because I would never smoke weed. When I was younger, I smoked weed and stopped when I was 17.
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't really like the way it made me play the drums, and we'll get onto that later. But
right.
yeah, so in terms of, is it functional or was it like this concoction of stuff? It dependent on the situation. Like that combination of weed, alcohol, and cocaine, that was just pure bliss, you know, in the moment. After about an hour, it would wear off, and then it was like right back to the fear. But I think cocaine really came into play when you're doing shows, concerts, performing on stage, because if you're sloppy drunk, you can't really show up on stage as well. If you throw cocaine into that, bang, you're back in the room, you know, and sharpens you up a bit. So yeah, I guess a mixture of the two things.
I think as well, it's quite interesting when you sort of talk about your own recovery. From what I can tell online, that there's a real focus on alcohol, right? So am I right into concluding that by dealing with alcohol, you've kind of dealt with the cocaine problem? Because if you remove alcohol, that then means that you won't take cocaine, or have I made it too simple?
I think for a lot of people out there, especially like the people who are caught in this weekend binge drinking cycle, which has become like increasingly popular now with cocaine. Sure. Like cocaine, and speaking in the UK here and Northern Europe, it's like as normal nearly to do coke as it is go out to the pub.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're the biggest users of cocaine
I think
in Europe.
we are now, and that's really sped up over the last few years. If I'm completely honest, alcohol now, because it's everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere you go in the world, it's everywhere, especially again here in the UK. You walk into a supermarket and it's there. It was like it was Father's Day the other day, wasn't it? On Sunday, I think.
Right.
And you walk in, this has always blown my mind. You walk into the Tesco, and it's like, Happy Father's Day. Like, buy your dad a crate of fucking Stella. Yeah. And I walk in, I think, well, alcohol killed my dad at age 32. And it's like, that's being promoted, you know? But the wonderful thing, taking the positive out of this, we're exposed to alcohol all the time. So if you're in recovery, somewhere like the UK, again, most of the Western world anyway, at least, you're exposed to it all the time. Yeah. So with alcohol, I don't get any excitement of looking at it or seeing it or being around it. I'm around it a lot because of working as a musician. It's part of the job. And I think because of that exposure, it's very easy to deal with. Cocaine, if someone put a line of cocaine on this table right now, that I can feel it now starts to excite me. Right. Which is really weird because cocaine, I would never say was the main problem, like we've just been speaking about. And I think because it's not everywhere in terms of like, you can't go to the supermarket and it's not on sale for 3 grams for 100 quid or whatever. It's not so apparent. So I think cocaine is still a focus of my recovery, but ultimately the tools to deal with addiction or getting over these bad habits or whatever you want to call them, distractions, are ultimately the same moving forward. So dealing with one, for me personally, how I've done it, it deals with the whole range of things. It's the tools are the same, you know? Yeah.
I think that's a really, really important point because I think a lot of people do use them together. And you're right. The longer you're in recovery, you sort of get a bit desensitized to alcohol because it's everywhere. Yeah. Whereas with cocaine, unless you're kind of in those environments, you're not really seeing it. Maybe on TV, that's about it. So I guess environment is really key, right, for you. Like so you're not in places where people are using cocaine, and it's not being used openly. I would be very uncomfortable. I don't think I've been in a situation in the last decade. I'm trying to think where anyone's openly used drugs in front of me. Okay. And I haven't consciously always, like I've been to house parties and dinner parties where, okay, maybe it was going on in the bathrooms and I didn't know. But I definitely would leave. You know, whereas people drink around me all the time.
I'm the same. Right. I have been in, I've literally had cocaine passed in front of me. like this on a CD case in back rooms of venues on gigs. But then in the moment, if I'm like, oh, okay, I don't actually want to do it. Yeah. It's just the subconscious, I think, because you're not as exposed to it as much.
Yeah.
It's not, you haven't tackled it as much in the conscious.
Yeah.
So it takes a bit longer to rewire that part. And
100%.
I have the tools up here, the mindset to be able to shut down those thoughts.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's not something I'd recommend to anyone. Like, again, I think my granddad used this quote to sort of say, as a musician, if you don't drink, it's a bit like being a vegetarian butcher. It's very true. But bringing that now into my lifestyle, it's like if you're trying to stop drinking, why would you hang out at a pub? Because it's like if you're trying to stop eating meat, you're not going to hang out at butchers.
Right, okay. Absolutely.
And it's the same. It's going to be much easier. It's all possible. I guess I'm living proof of that it's possible. I'm still in those atmospheres.
I mean, on your social media, at least, you're very out and about, very social, in bars, drinking zero beers and all of that sort of stuff. Did it look like that early on? Because obviously I'm looking at content that's now 6.5, 7 years down the track. Was it like that for you in the first year or 6 months?
You know, it was more heavy on that side of stuff back when I started because I felt like I needed to go out and still go to the pub and still do all these like, oh, I thought it was cool to be sober and go to the pub. I thought that's what you had to do if you still wanted to live a normal life. And I figured out that was all bullshit, to be honest, now. And because I'm just thinking, well, I'm someone who wants to grow. And in every sense, you know, I want to be a better person. I want to be able to be a better person for myself and everyone around me. And just even being a better person, like to the person serving me in a corner shop, you know, like, so in the end, I realized being around people, because anyone who goes to the pub and drinks to excess is running away from something. That's what the pub was originally set up to do in the UK. It was for, in the old days, you know, people who work at factory jobs or these high level, like high stress physical labor jobs, and all the men go to the pub to let off steam. But if you have a life that you don't want to escape from, why do you need to let off steam?
That's so true.
So I don't feel the need to go to the pub anymore. And I also have the confidence to not say, no, I'm not missing out on anything. And I can wholeheartedly say that now. I never used to be able to. So yeah, now I hardly go to the pub or the bar, unless I'm working.
Yeah, same. Yeah, maybe to eat or if there's a good reason to be there, like someone's birthday, something like that. Yeah, and it's not even a conscious thing. It's just that I'd rather hang out in a cafe or a restaurant because,
or do this
or do this. Yeah. So if someone was sort of like in their first week of recovery, very early doors, and they say, actually, I'm just gonna, you know, go down the pub with my friends who are still drinking and have a zero beer, what would your response be to that? I know it's a very general thing.
Yeah, I was going to say it depends on the human and the level of where they were at. If it's someone who is physically dependent on alcohol, no, that's a stupid idea. But if it's someone, again, who is maybe more removed it for a lifestyle choice, or I guess like me, who had been trying to remove it. I wasn't completely physically dependent at the time, so I felt like, okay, not at the stage of when, like, within a week, I probably wouldn't be in bed sweating and shaking at that point.
Got you.
If you feel confident enough to do it, go for it. I'm not here to stop anyone doing anything or say you should be doing this. You got to do what feels right, but you do need to be honest with yourself, and that's something we're pretty bad at as humans. Being truly honest with us, and it's a why. Why are you going to the pub? Why are you putting yourself in a situation which is going to make it harder? And even now, again, someone who's been in sobriety like yourself for a decent amount of time, I can say I still get uncomfortable sometimes in those situations. I'm someone who has all the tools to deal with it. So you need a plan if you're going to do that.
With something like, say, zero beer, within the context of what you're talking about, where do you think they're sort of useful and maybe not useful? I know that's quite a difficult conversation. Do you think they're useful for everybody, or do you think there's some people that would find it a trigger in their early recovery? Where do you sit with it? Because I know you're quite pro zero beers, are you, or have I got that wrong?
I'm like, I'm somewhere, I don't know, I'm in the middle of it, I guess. I kind of have no opinion in a weird kind of way. Like, AA, the 12-step program says that you shouldn't.
Right.
It's very against zero beers. Whereas I don't think that's the right approach, because that's a bit like criminalizing drugs. Well, then we all want to do it.
Yeah, we want to do it. Yeah.
And it's about education rather than like removing something or banning something.
Yeah.
But then, like, for instance, I was never like a lager drinker. I'd like Guinness. I drank red wine, and I liked spirits, especially Scotch.
Okay.
And wine has been really bad, non-alcoholic wine, up until more recently.
Yeah.
Guinness, they brought one out, a 0% Guinness, which I tried in 2020. I remember it in the lockdown, and having one sip and being like, nah, I can't drink this because it's so close.
Right.
It triggers me because I'd always follow up a Guinness with a single malt Scotch or a Jameson's. Yeah. I don't know what mood I was in.
In a nice glass.
In a nice glass.
Yeah.
No water. Really strong.
Water? Yeah. What are you crazy?
Yeah,
don't drink water, whatever you do.
Don't dilute my booze.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's so personal. If it works for you, great.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, don't do it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think it's interesting because there's nothing actually in any 12-step literature that says that. I think a lot of that is kind of members kind of being vocal online about it. But I think you are right. There is a kind of mantra that non-alcoholic drinks are for non-alcoholics, and I agree with you. I think that's far too black and white as well.
Yeah.
There was an interesting study. You know, I love a study. There was a little study on this, and basically the study concluded that the more severe the alcoholism, the more likely they were to trigger you if it tasted like the real thing.
Yeah,
which I think is potentially interesting. I'm always a little bit cautious with them in a rehab setting, just purely because they're usually a bit more kind of chronic and severe.
Yeah.
But, you know, I love, I'm partial to the odd mocktail, so I'm a complete hypocrite. But they don't trigger me because they just taste like juice. But
yeah, it's different.
But I've never dared a zero beer yet.
Interesting.
Bit worried about the taste triggering me. But interestingly, I might be fine. But yeah, I guess I just don't want to tempt fate.
Yeah, like if it's not a real big desire or anything, why change something what's working?
It's interesting though. I've got this really lovely glass that I have at home. Talking about glass, it's quite heavy. I mean, it's very sort of a heavy glass, and my drink of choice at the moment, I absolutely love it, is this ginger cordial that you can buy. And it's really fiery, but it doesn't taste like Scotch, but it does feel a bit more grown up.
Yeah.
I just have it with soda water and a lime, and it feels amazing.
Yeah, I'm a big ginger fan for the burning sensation.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And what I love about it is it doesn't mimic Scotch. It's just that got that burn, so it just feels a bit more adult.
Yeah.
Rather than Sprite Zero is my other. I mean, I swear I'm not sponsored by it.
Yeah,
Sprite Zero. Actually, talking about sponsors, let's go to the sponsor now. This episode is sponsored by Gavin Sisters, the passionate teetotal founders of the Detox Balm Retreat and the creators of Funky Coffee. If you love the taste of coffee but want to ditch the crash, Funky Coffee is your new go-to. Made from triple certified organic Arabica coffee and infused with powerful mushrooms, it gives you all the energy and none of the jitters. Plus, it's amazing for your gut, skin, and athletic performance. And if you're looking to recharge your body and mind, you've got to check out the Detox Barn. This award-winning retreat located in both the UK and the Algarve is a plant-based, alcohol-free sanctuary where you'll learn how to be healthier, happier, and more balanced. Whether it's for a weekend away or a full restorative retreat, just visit gavinsisters.co.uk and use the code School of Rock Bottom for 10% off your next retreat or a bag of their amazing Funky Coffee. That's School of Rock Bottom for a 10% discount for a healthier, happier you. Go check them out. Okay, so I want to ask you something else. And actually, this potentially is a little bit tricky. You shared earlier that your dad passed away at 32, which I didn't know actually. So I'm sorry to hear that. Something that you've said online a couple of times I've heard is that drinking is selfish. Is it linked to any sort of grief around your dad, or are they separate things?
You've hit the nail on the head there, actually. Okay. It's great awareness. I was brought up by my mum, who's the most wonderful person in the world. I have a great sister. My male role models, and actually lack of good male role models.
Yeah.
And so my dad, he was a musician like myself, toured around the world, same as my granddad.
Wow.
Jazz musician, drummer. We're all drummers.
Wow.
Not only did I inherit playing jazz drums, I got the drinking along with those. Right. And so, my dad died when he was 32. My granddad died when he was 62. And I'm 32 now. So it's been a bit of a odd moment in time, I guess, because I never thought I'd make it to this age.
Wow.
But ultimately, what I discovered was, so my dad was out touring around and stuff, which is great. And I hold no negative feelings towards that. And I've totally accepted his death.
Right.
But looking back now, it's fucking selfish. Like, as a man, you have children, and my sister had just been born. Surely your responsibility is to be there for your family, and that's your purpose in life at that point. And if you're going out and drinking, which in any amount is not healthy, and I'm not really talking about the person who's having 1 or 2 drinks a week. I know in any amount it isn't healthy, but if you're going out and getting drunk, it's not only what that's doing to your body, it's like you could end up in a car accident, or you could walk into the middle of the road, or you put yourself in a more vulnerable situation. And if you look at the statistics, because you're a stats guy,
have my moments, unfortunately,
it's overwhelming. Like, where a lot of these bad things which happen in the world is alcohol's related.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry to interrupt, just doing the maths.
I was 4.
So you were super, super young. And you don't have to answer this, you can swerve this, but how did he die? You don't
Heart attack. So he was on the way back from Switzerland, working, I think he was doing some gigs in some hotels over there, and got back, they were driving. And funny enough, the band, I'd just been away last weekend to the Netherlands working at a festival, and the guy who was leading that band was my dad's best mate. And he was there. They got to Calais in France to get the ferry back. Bang, drop dead, heart attack.
Wow.
And they put it down to poor lifestyle.
Gotcha.
So
he was obviously hitting it very, very hard. I mean, to have a heart attack that to kill you.
Drinking, smoking. There was no drugs involved, but late nights, like being a musician, it's not good for your body, full stop, even if you're sober.
Yeah.
Too much stress on the body, And so, alcohol is ultimately selfish, because if you're drinking to the point where you're not showing up for the people around you, you're causing trouble in any capacity. You might not even have any family or friends or anything, and you're drinking yourself into oblivion, and you end up in hospital.
Yeah.
Why should someone look after you? And it's like, this is coming from someone who's been in this situation, and it's quite egotistical to think that we're great enough to think that someone should pick up the pieces for us. And
I like that tough approach. I think it's not spoken about enough. How do you view then your kind of chaotic years? Have you got compassion for yourself, or is it more like, do you look back and go, bloody hell, Jack, sort yourself out, mate? What's wrong with you? How do you view it now with that sort of context that we've talked about?
I'm sounding quite harsh and brutal here, but I'm a very compassionate person. I actually want to help everyone. And
you can see.
I'm in a position where I understand every side of the situation. Now, like you are as well. And it's the amazing thing about sobriety. You get a perspective that most people will never have in life. And you can see the dark side, you can see the bright side, you can see the bit in the middle. Like,
so you're able to be soft and hard at the same time.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think we kind of know when the moment to be soft is and compassionate, and when the moment is to actually give a bit of blunt truth.
Exactly. So I can look back now and look at myself and understand. And I can look at other people's situations and understand why they're doing what they're doing. And I have no judgment over them. None of this comes from a place of judgment, just, I guess, of a place of wisdom, because I've been through the process.
Yeah.
And it's a good way of trying to get people to see that it is selfish.
Yeah.
It is a selfish act. And especially, I think, because I'm talking from personal experience, because I've lost family members. Like, again, my granddad died when I was really young and through the same thing. And a lot of friends. Like, even, I think it was 2 weeks ago, a really close friend died, liver failure. Or liver cancer.
Right.
And drinking.
Yeah.
And again, that's ultimately selfish, you know, and it could think, oh, it's not all about me, you know, and how I feel. But I've started to look at life, because I used to be so selfish. It was all about, what do I get out of this? Like, what am I getting from life? And realize that if you want to find true fulfillment, you need to be in debt to life. You should be giving more than you take all the time.
Oh, I love that.
So
that's so true. That's amazing. You say that again, just so I can really fully absorb that.
So a good way of explaining it, I think, for me, going into personal romantic relationships, even since I've been sober, I've been like, okay, I have a life of freedom. I've really created this life of freedom. Now, I do what I want when I want. No one tells me what to do. And I go into a relationship, or have done in the past. What do I get out of this? Like, what am I going to receive?
Yeah.
Rather than going into that and thinking, okay, how can I add to that person's life?
So true.
So giving, and I can't take the credit for this, because I heard there's a cowboy I follow on YouTube who's he's about 60 and has all this wisdom. And it's about giving much more than you receive in life. And that applies to everything. It's not just relationships. It's about business. And if you give, and you give value, and you do it from a place of like, it's sincere, you know, you can't be like, okay, it's not like a maths equation. If you keep doing this and doing that, you'll get this. It doesn't work like that.
You're so right. Like, if I went to your birthday party back in the day, I didn't really care about your birthday. I mean, I'd show up and say, happy birthday, Jack. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, hey, Jack, it's your birthday. But it was really about, what have you got? What can you give me? What friends have you got that I can pull? You know, where is it a free bar? You know, can you make a call for me? Blah, blah. It's all that. Can I impress you? I remember aforementioned sponsor, second year of sobriety, someone passed away that meant a lot to me, and I had to go to I was going to the funeral, and I turned around to him and I said, you know, how do I stay sober at this funeral? He said, well, what's drinking got to do with going to a funeral? Yeah. He said, you'll go in there to show your respects. He said, you're not going there to drink.
The focus again.
You know, it's that focus. Like, what is my purpose of going there? We were talking about alcohol being selfish, because it made me think about the phrase in recovery where you're not responsible for your addiction, but you are responsible for your recovery. Is that kind of how you slice it a little bit, with the soft to hardness?
Yeah, 100%. I think, do I agree with the we're not responsible for our addiction side of stuff? I'm questioning. Like, at the end of the day, we all make a choice. It's no one else's fault.
Got you.
It'd be very easy for me to sit here and blame my dad.
Sure.
Or blame, I left school when I was 14 to go on the road, and that was the start of my professional music career.
Yeah.
It'd be really easy to blame the people I was around at the time, like, because I was surrounded by like 50-year-old drunk jazz musicians. I was like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. Yeah. So I could actually blame those.
Sure.
But again, I'm just shifting the blame rather than taking responsibility myself there. But
I hear you. I really do.
I think, again, it's more... it's not a brutal side. It's just, I guess, it's pure honesty. I like to be really, truly honest with myself. And again, I hold no judgment over how other people approach things. I just know what's really worked for me now.
I'm very, very, very similar. I mean, if I go on podcasts, I'm quite lucky I'm getting asked quite a lot at the moment. A lot of the podcast hosts are asking me about my childhood and going through all of that. And I don't actually go into that a lot on this podcast. Yeah. But, you know, I do sometimes, but not a lot. And it makes me a little bit uncomfortable, not because I don't want to talk about my childhood per se, but it's almost like, let's try and find the reason why. And it's, of course, there are things there, but my whole recovery has been about taking personal responsibility rather than blaming anybody else. I guess I have a problem with the addiction's a choice mantra, just purely because I think most people choose to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
But not everyone gets addicted.
Yeah.
I think the reason why we choose is quite interesting. But surely there's a point on this journey where you've got to look yourself firmly in the eye and go, I'm got to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And I am responsible for that direction.
And that's what the first step of making a move forward is. And it's a case of like, right, I am fucking done.
Is that what your rock bottom was about then? Lots of moments all kind of coming together, almost like a big bang. Lots of molecules of anxiety moments that went boom.
Yeah.
Do you remember the boom? Or was it too lazy?
Oh, I'll never forget that. 28th of September, 2018.
Tell me about that.
So the whole of 2018, I've been trying. So I had my first like serious relationship, I guess. And I was really trying to. She hated my drinking, so I don't know why she was with me, because that's who I was. That's my identity back then. But I was trying to moderate.
Oh, that old chestnut.
Yeah. So it started off because she was like, "I never want you to do drugs in front of me," which again I totally get. And I was like, right, okay. And she's like, "I don't want you like getting paralytically drunk." I was like, right, okay. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to drink Guinness. I was like, I like Guinness. I'll just drink Guinness. And it's only 4.1%, I think, here in England.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's fine. Can't be doing much harm. So I'd be like, okay, having 4 pints of Guinness every time I go out, that's it. And then that fastly turned into 20 pints of Guinness. But the problem then, I was like consuming all this liquid, but my tolerance was so high, so I would never get drunk. And I was like, well, what's the point of this? It's costing me a fortune just drinking Guinness, getting nothing out of this. So that was so hard. That was like one of the hardest things I've ever done, is to try and moderate like that. And then it started to creep back in. I remember we all went to Greece on holiday. It was me and my girlfriend and with some other friends as well. And they were all doing shots of, I forgot the name of the Greek spirit they have.
Ouzo or something.
Ouzo,
yeah, that one.
And I was just like, so unfair. I was so, why is life so unfair? I was like, fuck it. And the fuck it button got pushed and started doing shots. And I was like, but it's fine. Anyway, caused a bit of trouble. Nearly got thrown out the hotel. I was naked in the bar at 4 a.m. pulling pints. Yeah, there's a picture of it somewhere. I'll send it to you.
That's brilliant. We'll go to the show notes. I'll put a link.
Use it, yeah. Yeah, safe to say that the hotel owner wasn't too happy when he walked out and I was naked squirting. You know, they have the soft drink guns where they mix like the syrup. It's like, wait, yeah, spraying Fanta everywhere.
Amazing.
So stuff like that started to happen. And then, September 28th, hadn't done any cocaine for like 3 months.
Okay.
Actually, I was like, well, this is good. So I was working. But I went out and we all went for an Indian in my hometown. And my friend, I guess my drinking partner of the day, had these ciders, Henry Weston cider. I don't know if you know him, but
I think so.
8.2%.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would have been all over that.
Yeah, exactly. And they were free for a $5. And the shocking thing is, this is in 2018. They're still free for a $5. How's it not gone up with inflation?
Oh, my God. It's a bit like I'm still not drinking, actually.
Yeah. And I was just like, for fuck's sake. I was like, I can't. And he just got obliterated. And I was so jealous.
Yeah.
I was so jealous of people who were drinking when I couldn't drink properly.
Right.
And I just thought, you know what? I'm done with this. And I just got so drunk, went mental. And then the moment came, we ended up back at a friend's house. And he was a drug dealer, coke dealer.
Right.
With my girlfriend. And there was a big pile of coke on the table. So I just could not resist. Bang.
Yeah.
Face in the pile of coke. Scarface stuff again. And lost all control. That was the end of my relationship. And that was the end of it was the end of my romantic relationship. It was also my end of relationship with alcohol and drugs for good at that moment, because I just couldn't destroy any more of my life. And it was much greater than that. The reason wasn't, I was going to die if I carried on. the doctors had told me that. And but mentally, I just didn't want to live in here anymore. That's what it really was, and it was this accumulation of loads of things like this. The stress it takes to try and moderate, it was just like, I honestly just don't know how it's for people who are wired like us. I cannot see how it's a possibility. I just really can't, because it takes more effort to do that, dramatically more effort than it does to stay sober completely.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And from that, it was a huge catalyst, wasn't it? Just to completely reframe your life in every single way. I mean, obviously now you've got the Grow Sober movement, you're a recovery coach. I know you still are an amazing creative and drumming and stuff like that. One thing I wanted to pick you up on is your weight loss journey. Because am I right in thinking you've lost somewhere close to 10 stone?
Yeah, just over 10 stone.
Wow. Okay.
Well, at the peak, I've put on a little bit since, because I got obsessed, and I wasn't feeling my healthiest, I guess, when I got down. So I was 23 stone.
Right.
I don't know what this is in kilos. I know most of the world works in kilos, but I'm going to assume a lot of your viewers are English. So
I think that'd be fair. I don't understand kilos either.
No, it's a fuck lot of weight.
Yeah.
So I went from 23 stone to just under 13 stone at my lowest. Wow. And then I'm back up to like 14 and a half stone.
You look great. I'm sure the viewers, I'm sure you're getting a lot of fans today. You know what I mean? You're looking just right, man. Congratulations.
Cheers, man.
That's incredible. I mean, I've seen some pictures of you from back in the day, and you look very different.
I just went to play at this festival, and last time I was there was 12 years ago.
Right.
Well, playing at this, I've been to the town, but specifically playing, and people were sort of saying to other people, like, "Oh, who's that drummer?" It's like, "Oh, it's Jack." They're like,
"What?"
They're like different person.
Massive glow up, as they would say.
Yeah.
As the kids would say.
Yeah.
Is the reason why your weight shot up so much, is it because you were using cocaine and alcohol and then essentially not eating for a few days and then binge eating, or am I simplifying it too much?
So my weight loss journey wasn't just when I stopped drinking. So I was at my heaviest when I was 18 years old, when I wasn't doing cocaine.
Yeah.
And that was a combination of obviously a lot of alcohol. Yeah. And at the time I was eating a lot of food. But then I joined a band. They were all fit, younger guys. And I was like, oh, they were all out like hanging out with like hot girls and all this kind of stuff. I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, the way to do that is lose a bit of weight. And that's what I did. And then, but it was a bid, And I guess later on down the road, before I stopped drinking, I wouldn't eat at all for like 2 days, and then I'd binge eat like crazy. And I think again I wasn't at my heaviest at that point, because I think I did start to lose weight in the end, because my body just wasn't getting the food or the nutrients.
Gotcha.
So it started to go into proper destroying everything physically as well.
I'm really gutted, Jack, because the clock is really ticking. I think we've got about 3 minutes here, which is mad. I mean, out of all the guests I've had, this might have gone the quickest. I'm like, boom, what's happened?
I can't believe it's gone.
Bit of a weird question, but I think you might have a nice insight on this. I'm asking some guests at the end of the episode what they'd like written on their gravestone. I wonder if we could end there.
If you asked me 7 years ago, I would have said, it still makes me laugh, I really wanted a statue of myself completely naked with a bottle of whiskey and smoking a cigarette. And as much as part of my former, I'm still the same person. I'm still a naughty boy. I still like to cause trouble. And I still like to rebel massively. And I think being so sober now in this world is one of the most rebellious things you can do.
Agreed.
But honestly, I just couldn't give a fuck about a gravestone. And I think I've really shifted. A lot of recovery is about going inwards and ego and letting go. And again, it's this here to serve others rather than to be served ourselves. And I think my shift in ego has changed massively. And if I have a headstone, just someone like my granddad's actually just says his name, Pete Cotterill, says musician, born, whatever, died, whatever. It's as simple as that. But to be honest, I don't even care about a headstone anymore.
That's amazing.
I just think In the world, I'm insignificant. Like, you go and stand at the top of the Alps, or it's...
Well, you're not to me, Jack.
Well, no, I don't mean that. I don't mean anything. But in terms of, it's... I think we can do more in the now to create memories than a headstone.
I love that. I know it's a little bit cliche, but if there is someone listening to this in that sort of dark moment where they're thinking, you know, I can't get sober, I can't get off cocaine, I know we don't have a lot of time, what would your sort of main message be, or what might have you like to have heard 7 years ago? What
my mentor said to me, the person who's responsible for helping me to get to where I am now, he said, just fucking trust me. He said, you're not going to feel like this is possible, because it's not. You're in a tunnel with no light at the end. But there is light, and he said, just trust me. He said, you don't need anything else. Just a bit of trust, and you can do it. And that is trust and be willing to accept and take action. It's as simple as that. And if you take guidance from someone who knows, it's like if you want to climb Mount Everest, you don't just start to climb Mount Everest, because you're going to fall off. You might even die. And what's the best thing to do? Go and ask someone who's been to the top before.
I love that. So it sounds like having a mentor, someone who'd walked the path, really, really helped you. And obviously this is something that you now offer yourself. Jack, thanks so much for coming on today and chatting to me. I'm sure my listening viewers have got so much from that. If you head to the show notes now, you're going to find loads on Jack there. There'll be loads of links to all his socials, but also his business. If you want to reach out to him for some sober coaching or recovery coaching, it's all there. If you're listening to this on Apple, please write a review. That really helps me. Spotify, give us 5 stars, hit the follow button. And as I've always promised, and I've not let you down yet, I'm going to be back in 2 weeks' time with a brand new episode. Until then, look after yourself, and thanks for watching or listening.